Good evening. Welcome to the regular council meeting of Tuesday, December 5th, 2023 at 4:40 p.m. in council chambers and via Zoom. We acknowledge that the town of Kirkland Lake is located on the traditional territory of Algonquin peoples, including Beaver House First Nation and unceded territory of other Indigenous peoples. We recognize the presence of the Algonquin, Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Cree, and Métis people in our community since time immemorial and honor their stewardship to this land. We hereby affirm our continued commitment and responsibility to reconciliation. Call to order in a moment of silence. Item number 2, approval of the agenda.
Moved by Councillor Janice Ranger, seconded by Councillor Lad Chaba. Be it resolved, the agenda for the regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, December 5th, 2023 be approved as circulated.
All opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 3, declaration of pecuniary interest. None noted. Item number 4, petitions and delegations. There are none this evening. Acceptance of minutes and recommendations, 5.1.
Moved by Councillor Casey Owens, seconded by Councillor Dolly Dykens. Be it resolved that council approves the minutes of the following meetings. Minutes of the regular meeting of council held November 21st, 2023, and minutes of the public meeting held November 21st, 2023.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 5.2.
Moved by Councillor Rick Owens, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens. Be it resolved that council adopt the minutes of the following meeting. Minutes of the Tech Pioneer Residence Committee of Management held September 11th, 2023.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 5.3.
Moved by Councillor Rick Owens, seconded by Councillor Janice Ranger. Be it resolved that council receive the minutes of the following meeting. Minutes of the Kirkland Lake Public Library Board held October 26th, 2023.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 6.1, public transit options. Clinton Johansson, Director of Development Services. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This report informs the council about the choices for passenger bus service in Kirkland Lake. The bus service in Kirkland Lake came to a halt in 1994, and reinstating it requires careful considerations of options that cater to the needs of the residents. To investigate the transit system for the town of Kirkland Lake, it's suggested that a transportation consultant be hired. Council should delay hiring a consultant until they complete the strategic plan, as this planning process will provide a valuable insight into the direction the council aims to go into. If it's a fit, it will form the basis for issuing a RFP for transportation consultant services. In a positive development, the Rural Transition Solution Fund has commenced another funding cycle for planning and design, with the announcement made just yesterday. This opens the possibility of obtaining $50,000 grant, which will in turn help cover some of the cost for the consultant. Does anyone have any questions?
Just before I open the table for conversation, I do want to say, though, I believe that there are certain segments of the population that would possibly benefit from this program. I personally believe that it should be deferred. Any decision on this should be deferred until after strategic planning process is completed, because that's going to give us a fulsome idea of what the priorities of this municipality are. So thank you for the report, Councillor Ranger.
Point of information.
Okay.
I think we need more information before we can debate and decide this. And I have a few items to share, if that's okay.
So, sorry.
Yeah, so point of information is if additional information is required for the body to make a full choice.
Okay, so Councillor Dykens, you're stating that you have more information than was given in the report?
Yes, that would
Okay.
be helpful for us.
Okay.
I don't disagree with you deferring it, but I think we need this information.
Okay,
first.
proceed.
Okay, what I didn't see in the report, and it was very extensive, and a lot of work was put in it, was the Infrastructure Canada funding, that was announced on July 25th, 2023. And there's a number of funding streams. For example, there's $3 billion annually that's going to be made available starting in 2026, 2027, which coincides, I think, with the reintroduction of the train service here in Kirkland Lake. So under this, as I said, there's $3 billion a year that will be permanent, will be for public transit. And also there's the Rural Transit Solutions Fund. Is that what you, sorry, after you?
Rural Transit Fund.
Yes. Yeah, so that was already mentioned. So that's a fund that supports locally driven transit solutions for rural and remote communities, with flexibility for different local transit system innovations, including the on-demand service that was mentioned when this motion was put forward. There's also a zero emission transit fund, $2.75 billion. And that's in support of providing 5,000 zero emission buses and building supporting infrastructure. And then there's the active transportation fund, where there's 400 million. And this fund invests in projects that build new and expanded networks of pathways, bikes, trails, pedestrian bridges, in addition to supporting active transportation planning activities. I know that's a little bit different than the public transit. So I just wanted to say that there is money possibly available. It doesn't mean that we will be successful, but I didn't want it to leave that there's no funds other than the $50,000 to look into it. There is money for infrastructure. There's money to buy buses, but it's not an easy solution, and it could be part of our strategic planning initiative. See if it's a collective will, and it's critical for communities in terms of business health and also
Sorry,
social health. That's
Counselor
it.
Deckens,
That's it.
yeah, we appreciate your point of information.
Yeah.
And any
That's it.
further comments you can do in the round. Counselor Janice Ranger.
Through you, Madam Mayor, what would be the, for the consultant, what would be their objectives? What would they be doing for us?
I mean, the report that was developed in 1984 would be similar to something like that, would go through, you know, a whole demographics, see what the people would want and how they would want to do it. It would go through, like, after that, it would go and analyze like the actual routes and put that together, and then actually put the actual feasibility in regards to capital cost versus the, you know, the yearly running of the program, and then basically come up with a way of costing and funding at the same time and try to marry those things together.
And then just a comment for you, Madam Mayor. I found it interesting to read that report from such a long time ago. I'm not sure. I would hope that it doesn't have little, or that it would have little to no weight considering how long ago it was and how much has changed. And thank you for the information.
Anything further from members of council and Counselor Shaba?
Excuse me, to you, Mayor, to the director. Is to be noted that when this consultant was hired, we did have a transit system in place.
That's correct.
So this particular report looked at the overall, shall we say, assessment of what was in place at that particular time.
Right.
So we haven't had a transit system for a while.
That's correct.
So if the council chooses to have one in the future, I think we're going to be looking at what the situation that we're in right now.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
And basically, like, talking about the other funding opportunities, if we did have the transit system up and running, you know, whatever it was, we could access some of these other programs to do the zero emission buses and stuff like that, because they're not really allocated for just buying the buses
for that particular program unless you have diesel or gas in existing already.
Thank you, Councillor Owens.
Through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Ranger said that there was a really detailed report. It was actually kind of neat to read the history. Like, before I could even remember what Kirkland Lake looked like or the transit system. It is important to notice though, at one point, the town of Kirkland Lake did buy transit buses. And we had them on the road. I'm not exactly sure what period of time it was actually, those New Orion buses. There was two of them. There was Tech Northern Roads that ran them. So we did try it and obviously the system didn't,
I was trying to remember what color they were, green.
green.
Yeah,
green and white.
yeah.
They were part of the longest time in the TNR pit
Yeah.
by Esker Road.
Yeah.
So if we go back down that road, we go back down that road. I agree though with the Mayor White that there is a need for some type of transportation within Kirkland Lake. Certain people don't have access to easy transportation, whether it's doctor's appointments and the prices right now are just way out of reach with what they should be. Is it a big bus running around town? I don't see it personally, but we'll have to see what the will of council is.
Yeah, there's lots of options and I think a transport consultant.
I agree, we should probably defer this at this point.
Thank you. Anything further from members of council? Okay, so as it stands, the resolution is to be received. That's it.
Yeah, but if the will of council is.
Okay,
I can move.
Yeah.
I'll move.
okay, so as it stands now, the motion is just to receive. If we want the item to be deferred until after strategic plan, there has to be a mover and a seconder. Okay, so Councillor Ranger and Councillor Owens.
Just give me one moment, I'm ready to go. You want after the approval of the strategic plan?
Process.
I would say after, because then all the results will be delivered.
So the mover was Councillor Owen, no, Councillor Ranger. Seconder was Councillor Owens. Be it resolved that the matter be deferred until after the approval of the 2023 to 2026 strategic plan.
Councillor Legend?
Do we have to receive it first or no?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed, none noted, item carried unanimous. Thank you for the clarification, Madam Clerk. Thank you, sir. Item number 6.2, establish operation for the 2024 fiscal year.
Evening, Mayor, to council. I have a report in front of you, which is required by the municipal act to set your own remuneration for the upcoming year. Most of the information in there is similar to what you've seen in the past. We're at a point where you guys need to make a decision about where you want your remuneration to fall for the 2024 year. We've recommended 1% in here. That's consistent with what council has done in the past, but there's a couple other options there as well. I wasn't planning on, the report is mostly self-explanatory. Be happy to take questions or comments at this point.
Any questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Dykens.
To you, Madam Mayor, to the treasurer or the clerk, just in terms of process, does this have to be the first thing that we decide in terms of financial, like for the budget? Like, I just think like it's the first thing that came up last year too. Just, is that necessary or like, can we?
Well, I
Wait till-
think, sorry, Madam Mayor. I think the process is you're setting the amount now, but it's still subject to the budget process, so it's not superseding the budget process. It's just, we're trying to cross our T's and dot our I's with the municipal act and the rules that require a fulsome disclosure in public about your remuneration because you guys are making the decision about it yourselves. So that's kind of why the process follows the way it does. There is some other options, you know, whether it's annual or something else, but that wasn't, you know, we're kind of following the pattern that council's been comfortable with in the past.
Just a supplemental to Madam Mayor, to council, the bylaw that was passed in 2023 is only for the 2023 fiscal year. And hence the reason why we're bringing forward a 2024 bylaw. If it were the decision of council to not make a decision on their remuneration, there would be no pay established for 2024. Until such a bylaw is passed. So there's a couple of options that are available. The delaying of the passing of the bylaw could be passed in January, if that's the case, or if council wishes to forego their remuneration until after the approval of the budget, that's also available to you with your retroactive, in a retroactive sense. But like the treasurer had identified, we're just trying to bring the remuneration information to council as was done in years past.
Counselor Owen?
Mr. Your Worship, I'd just like to make a few comments because whenever this issue comes up, I sit on council, take a lot of flack. And the previous council did not take raises for 4 years. And it was more a symbolic gesture than anything else because our wages are such a small portion of the total town budget. Now, a lot of people, I'm sure, think that all we do is come to meetings every 2 weeks. But for a counselor who takes the job seriously and is doing the job, there are committees. I believe I'm on 4 committees that meet monthly. There are decisions to be made there. We're making decisions that impact our neighbors. And that puts us in a very awkward position. Sometimes we're making decisions where that negatively impact somebody we've known for years. But we make them in terms of what we believe is best for the town. And again, put us in very awkward positions. 1%, when you compare it with the other labor settlements that have been going around, is very minimal. And 1%, I'll take the councillor's salary, 1% of $13,691.96 is next to nothing. So I just want to reassure people that there's a lot more to this job than what they see at the council table. And that we do, in fact, I can only speak for myself, but I do in fact earn every penny that I'm paid. And I hope the ratepayers will come to understand that, you know, there's a lot of work involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further from members of council? Councilor Owens?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'm not sure who can answer the question, either the treasurer or the clerk. I was comparing this bylaw to certain policies or bylaws that are out there on council, you're meeting me. And there's certain things where we seem to be, like if I look at item 6 in this thing, in the bylaw where it says any member of council may be reimbursed $75 per day if we have to, because some of us work. And I can't speak for other members of council, but I do not get days off. I have sick days and there's no way my school board will let me take a sick day to come and sit down here. So and it has happened a lot in this term, not previous to this term, but in this term where we've been asked for mandatory training during the day and I can't do it. I'm not taking a hit on my pay, on my pension. And because for some reason, if you take an unpaid day off, it has an effect on your pension down the road. $75 doesn't cut it. How do we readjust this to the reality? Like, I don't know when this was passed in this structure, in this form, but I think it needs to be upgraded and reflect the nature of what we do and what we're asked to do more and more often than before. So I'm going to answer that.
So, through you, Madam Mayor, to the councillor, this is at council's direction. what we put in, you know, this, like I said, we kind of followed the pattern in the past. Council certainly is within their responsibility and power to change any of the numbers in here, whether it's the 1% hike or the remuneration for, you know, missed work or stuff like that. Again, you know, we make recommendations, but in the end, you guys can change what you're seeing in front of you if you think it's appropriate, yes?
Okay, so follow up to the clear, so do we pass the bylaw as it is and ask for a report to come back on a updated policy or updated bylaw or new policy?
Madam Mayor, to all council, so I'll respond to your previous question, which was when did the remuneration, or when did the two items, specifically the $50 reduction for the lost or not attendance and the $75 for to offset the lost day's wage. Those two instances came to be in December of 2010. So I did some research. The mayor had asked the same question today. I did some research since 1983, and the bylaw in 2010 is when it started appearing. Just so for all of you, for information purposes, it's never been actually resolved. There's never been a resolution to either the $75 or the $50 adjustments since the inception in 2010. Secondly, your question about whether or not you pass the bylaw and then you'd ask for a report to pass policy. It's the will of council if you want to go that way. Procedurally, the cleanest way would be to establish a base remuneration for 2024, perhaps, and then if you want to have a policy that talks about the direction of council on any changes in if there's absenteeism or if there needs to be mandatory attendance by policy. So you just take them, you would amend the bylaw to remove those recitals, and then you can ask for an information report or to get for a draft policy to come back to council.
Sorry, if I could add to that, a good time for that might be the budget process. We can tack it on when you're talking about the implications, because I mean, it's clear that almost any decision you make would change the dollars. And as Councilor Owen pointed out, not very much relative to the size of the budget, but that's probably a very good, and it's a good timeline because there's some time to do some research about what other municipalities are doing and stuff like that.
Any further comments from the council? Councillor Shala?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, just a general statement about this motion. I'm going to support it. I think nowadays, with the cost of living and all of that, the 1% increase to me is not a lot. And if I may echo what Councilor Owen just said, we will put a lot of time into this. We all take it very seriously. A lot of things that people don't see. Just go to Timothy or go to our roots and so with your family. Well, trying to spend 70% of the time talking about municipal business. And I apologize to spouse after. So I think it's a very modest increase. And I don't think the public will be really upset about that because it's not going to have a big impact on our budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for my part, I do agree with the council members that I think this does deserve a more fulsome report. I have Councillor Owens did send through the clerk a different policy from some other municipality, and I found it very interesting that it kind of laid out all the duties of council, whether it be meetings, committees, subcommittees, public events, parades, et cetera, and it laid out conferences, all the items that go into being a council member, and it gave a more fulsome view of the duties of being on council. And I think that's important to note that that's not something the public gets to see. And so within that policy that was sent and a few that I Googled later on, it gives you a better idea of what the job requires of being council. And I think that's important for transparency. But I do agree that the way it's set up today is acceptable for what I know, the work that these people have done the last year and the last 5 years. So, thank you for that. So it would have to be a separate motion for the report.
Yeah, it would be an amendment to the recommendation.
Okay, so we need an amendment to the recommendation. Counselor Owens,
And I need to know whether I'm amending it for. I know I'm the second.
I was,
To bring back. Simply said, I want this. This says it exactly how it should be, so explain the breakdown, what our job is, how we get paid, and what's the process to follow for.
Okay, give me 1 minute, okay? And I heard Counselor Shaba.
Shaba.
Okay. Through you, Madam Mayor, Counselor Owens, did you want this policy to be presented with the budget?
Yeah, it would be the best way to do it. I don't think it's a rush item, it's just. You're down the road.
Okay, so I'll read the motion and then I'll read the amendment on the floor. Okay? Moved by Counselor Rick Owen, seconded by Counselor Janice Ranger. Be it resolved that report number 2023 FIN 15 entitled Establishing Council Remuneration for the 2024 fiscal year be received. And that council remuneration be established as follows and take effect January 1st, 2024. Mayor, $37,355.10 annually and payable bi-weekly. Councilors, $13,691.96 annually and payable bi-weekly. And that a 1% increase to the remuneration paid to the mayor and councilors be presented within the town's 2024 operating budget and payable retroactive to January 1st, 2024. And finally, that a bylaw establishing remuneration for members of council for the corporation of the town of Kirkland Lake be brought forward for 3 readings on Tuesday, December 19th, 2023. There's a motion on the floor, moved by Councillor Casey Owens, seconded by Councillor Lashaba. Excuse me, that the motion be amended prior to the last recital, and that a council remuneration policy be presented as part of the 2024 budget.
okay, all in favor? Opposed? Item carried. Item number 6.3, winter maintenance manual update. Stefan Forte, Director of Public Works, who is not here. Oh, he is attending via Zoom.
Everybody can hear me just fine? Yes. Well, good evening, Madam Mayor and Council, and thank you for having me. Through you to Council, the Public Works Department is presenting a simple yet significant change to the town's winter maintenance plan. During the previous council meeting, the latest version of the winter maintenance manual was presented, but it had no significant changes. Council's inquiries and comments sparked new conversation and interest, which led to an idea. Can we change the 8 centimeter threshold to 5 centimeters? This would mean that the town's winter maintenance service would be deployed after the snow depth reaches 5 centimeters instead of 8. We do recommend making this change, as yes, it will increase service. Yes, we can undertake it with our current workforce and equipment, and the financial impact of the operation is expected to be minimal. Making this change would benefit all residents and businesses. Thank you, and I'm happy to address any question or comment.
Thank you. Before I open the floor to comments, I just want to make a short comment myself. Though it's early in the season, I'm sure we've all heard complaints and concerns. I myself have heard a myriad of concerns, including suggestions to remove parking from one side of Government Road. That is something that had previously been done last council and been revoked only a few meetings later. But that being said, I just want to commend Stefan and staff for their ability to pivot and adapt to addressing public concerns regarding the snow maintenance issue. This reflects the level of teamwork between council members and staff, and I appreciate the efforts in this regard. So thank you to all members of staff that made the change. Councillor Owens?
Just council, through you, Madam Mayor, it's a comment in the same direction. This is a great step. It's going in the right direction, and it establishes what we used to do prior to this council through a different, one of our CAOs at one point had suggested the change to 8 centimeters. It didn't work. We've had complaints, so now it reestablishes a level of services to where it used to be. So it's definitely a step in the right direction. So thank you.
Anything further from members of council? Councillor Owen?
Yeah, I just want to compliment, I know it's early in the season and we don't have a ton of snow, but I keep seeing bare pavement on my side street on Third Street, and to see bare pavement on a side street is pretty remarkable. And I hope this change down means that there'll be less buildup to end up in the end of the driveways, which is a problem for seniors, and I'm very optimistic that it will work. So thank you very much.
Anything further from council? Nothing further? I'll have the reading of the motion.
Certainly. Moved by Councillor Rick Owen, seconded by Councillor Lon Chaba. Be it resolved that report number 2023 PW19 entitled Winter Maintenance Manual Update be received, and finally that council adopt the Town of Kirkland Lakes Winter Maintenance Manual as amended.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 7, considerations and notices of motions. There are none this evening. Item number 8, introduction, reading, and consideration of bylaws. There are none. Questions from council to staff. There were none submitted prior to the meeting. Notices of motion. I do have several myself coming forward next council meeting, including amendments to the Legislation Act, guaranteed livable income, town participation in Santa Claus Parade, and fix the Long-Term Care Amendment Act. 10.4, Councillor Dykens.
I'm planning to bring, motion to our next meeting on December 19th, in opposition to the strong mayor's powers, in support of, the town of Aurora's letter.
Okay, thank you. Councillors' reports. Councillor Owen.
To you, your worship, I was very pleased once again this year to attend the town Christmas and employee recognition party. It was very successful, well attended, well organized, and I thank the volunteers, the members of our staff that put that together. I know my wife did it for many years, and it's a much bigger commitment than one might realize. I don't normally single out a person, but there was an award given at the recognition dinner to one of our volunteers, and I am simply amazed. His name is Ted Assad. He has been a volunteer with the Committee of Adjustment, which is not an easy committee, for 40 years. And to me, that's just amazing. I don't know. I know I was involved in an organization over a period of 30, 35 years, but not straight through. And for 40 years, this man is showing up. And he's currently the chair of the Committee of Adjustment, which also puts more responsibility. He's also on the Police Services Board. He's a very modest man. He doesn't talk about what he does for the community. I only found out as a reporter, I'm the only reporter he ever granted an interview to because he doesn't like to talk about himself, but he's been involved with the hospital board. Just an amazing man, and we are so lucky to have Ted and to have other people like him in our community, so we can provide top-notch services and maintain our legal requirements under the Municipal Act, because we need these volunteers. You know, we have to have a committee of adjustment. We have to have all these committees. So to my buddy Ted, thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Councillor Ranger.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I don't normally do a report and it's more of a shout out to the emergency services group, specifically Earl and the firefighting teams that did the Bill a cruiser ambulance or medic truck this weekend. It was fantastic to see our fire trucks out in full glory. I think it's really important for specifically young people to be able to engage with emergency services in a non-crisis like in a non-crisis situation. And it was really nice for people in the public to be able to see our new equipment all shiny in a good way. So thank you so much.
Anything further from Councillor Owens?
I have the chance on Sunday to participate in the shopping for the Christmas Switch program. I've been doing it for 2 years now. And it's just awesome to see the local response, the volunteers that were there that night after the donations from the Sunday on the radio. It took us less than an hour to have all the orders, all the shopping done, requests, I guess, for each kid. And it's truly amazing to see that like the money is locally donated, it's spent locally, and it helped local families. So it's just a overall good feeling to see.
Thank you. Anything further from members of council? Okay, for my part, sorry folks, it's a long one. Attended the Anico Eagle, first of all, council and staff have began to receive Christmas and holiday wishes. So Christmas cards do come to my office so they can be seen in my office downstairs. We've received 2 so far. We've sent out about 60 so far.
Wow.
So anybody that sent us a Christmas card last year, we sent one out, and then any member of the community or community groups that we had meaningful interactions with, I've sent out. So yeah, so that's how I worked it this year. I attended the Anico Eagle dinner with 12 mechanics from Mexico and their wives who will be bringing their families to Kirkland Lake very shortly. It was a great honor to welcome these individuals to our community, knowing that they will be continuing the tradition of coming from far away to build Kirkland Lake. 100 years ago, we were established by people who flocked here because of gold, and we continue to draw people from across the globe today. So that's an amazing feat for a small community. Timiskaming Municipal Association Executive Meeting as the Director of Urban North to prepare the agenda items for the upcoming meeting this month with participating municipalities in our district. Took part in the emergency management afternoon meeting on Thursday, the 23rd, with administration and senior management team. It is important to note, as mayor, you hold specific mandatory responsibilities during a declared emergency and must attend these meetings to be prepared to fulfill your role should an emergency occur. To note, as mayor, it is also expected in an emergency evacuation, you would be one of the last 2 individuals to leave our community. This is the level of commitment you must be willing to give Kirkland Lake, and something serious to consider if you wish to hold the office of the mayor in the future. Association of Local Public Health Agencies Symposium, as chairs the Timiskaming Health Unit. Welcoming remarks were given by Premier Doug Ford, the Honorable Sylvia Jones, Deputy Premier and Minister of Health, Dr. Teresa Tam, Canada's Chief Public Health Officer, Colin Best, President of AMO, Dr. Kieran Moore, Ontario Chief Medical Officer, who attended the meeting in Timmins, as I mentioned last council meeting, among many others. This was both informative and vital during this time of review of public health in Ontario, and of course, the voluntary mergers of local health, public health units. Members of council and myself joined the Chamber of Commerce annual Santa Claus parade, walking Government Road, giving out candy and Kirkland Lake swag. I'm happy to report the event was so well attended, though we had hundreds of items. We proudly gave everything away and ran out before we even reached the end of the parade route. So, and this year there was approximately 30 floats taking part, and they were incredibly decorated. So congratulations to the Chamber of Commerce and their volunteers for the incredible yearly event. As all members of council, I attended a one-on-one interview with consultants regarding the strategic plan for Kirkland Lake. I hope all members of staff have taken the opportunity to fulfill their survey provided to them, and members of the public are encouraged to access the survey. Today was the last day on the website. Kirkland Lake deserves a bright future, and everyone should take the opportunity to be heard when it comes to developing our forward-facing goals. There will be a public meeting in the future regarding that. Planet Youth Communications Meeting, again, this is an important district-wide initiative based on the data-driven, evidence-based, and adaptable Icelandic prevention model, focusing on building a community environment that delays the onset of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs for as long as possible, as an effective approach to reducing the long-term health problems related to youth substance use. If you are interested in this work, please contact the Temiskaming Health Unit to join the coalition of community stakeholders involved. The library meeting, this is a nice one. The Children Department Refresh Project will be moving into the demolition and reconstruction phase this month. By the time the doors open next, it will have received a complete renovation thanks to the very generous donations from many community members, including the kickoff funding provided by Marianne Mavernack and Peter Van Shea, as well as the amazing community partner at Migo Eagle and individual members of our community. THU finance meetings updated were provided by for the moving forward in budget discussions for the 2024 year. TMA meeting discussions. Councillor Owen and I attended the TMA meeting. The discussions included animal control, especially the care and control of exotic animals. Ontario is the only province without legislation regarding this. The responsibility was downloaded to municipalities in 2001, and there are some local municipalities who are currently struggling with this issue. We heard about issues in Latchford, and of course, people have seen the kangaroo in media recently as well. Notably also is we received updates from MPP John Bantoff regarding questions about downloaded highways in our area due to the recent agreement between Toronto and the province regarding the Gardner Expressway and the Don Valley Parkway. He also spoke about the 400 driver training schools in comparison to the only 8 inspectors that are able to audit these programs. And lastly, he touched on the Boreal medieval forest villages and similar groups in the territories without organized government. There is a new minister who has not been fully briefed on this issue. However, there have been environmental inspections with that ministry at these locations, including inspecting their gray water. As Councillor Owens noted, the Christmas Wish Radio-a-thon occurred on Friday, and it is reported to have raised more than $78,000. Incredible. A big thank you to CJ Cal and all the volunteers involved. Today, I attended the Chamber of Commerce meeting in which their budget was discussed, as well as the parade, Best in Business Award, cost of memberships, and other items regarding the operation of this service. I remind all local business owners that the Chamber of Commerce are only as strong as their members. Involvement is key to have your opinions represented in local business sector, and you can reach out to them via their social media, their website, or by phone 567-5444 for more information on membership. This concludes my final report for 2023. It was a long one, I do apologize. The next council meeting will be a recap of the business of council for the last year. Between the 7 of us, we've attended over 90 meetings outside our regular council meetings this year. Moving into 2024, I encourage all council members to utilize this section of the agenda to make staff, fellow council members, and members of the public aware of the work you do for this community outside of these chambers. For transparency's sake, and to aid any member of the public who has future aspirations of taking our seats, it's vital to let people know what is expected of a sitting member of council. So thank you all. I'll have the reading of the motion.
Moved by Councillor Dolly Dyken, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens, be it resolved that the verbal updates from members of council be received.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Additional information, I just want to note that though the proclamation was read last council meeting, we would like to note that the flags of KL's facilities will be at half-mast tomorrow to observe the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. So we will now be in brief recess before going into close. Thank you, everyone. We'll now be moving into closed session. Madam Clerk, I'll have the reading of the motion.
Moved by Counselor Casey Owens, seconded by Counselor Dolly Dykens. Be it resolved, the council adjourn in camera at 5:37 PM. Pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, to discuss the security of the property of the municipality or local board and the position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiation carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board for the following reason. Item 13.1, information technology, equipment and.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we will now rise from in camera.
Moved by Counselor Dolly Dykens, seconded by Counselor Janice Ranger. Be resolved that council reconvene in open session at 5:59 PM.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Was there any declaration of pecuniary interest for items rising out of closed session? None noted. Item number 14.1, equipment purchase and funds for network infrastructure maintenance.
Moved by Counselor Janice Ranger, seconded by Counselor Ron Chava. Be it resolved that report number 2023 Corp 10 entitled Equipment Purchase and Funds for Network Infrastructure Maintenance be received. And that council authorized purchase of a new backup generator in the sum of $15,000. That council authorized the municipality to retain professional services related to network infrastructure maintenance in the sum of $10,000. And finally, the council authorized the sum of $25,000 be drawn from the working capital reserve.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 15, confirmation bylaw.
Moved by Counselor Dolly Dykens, seconded by Counselor Rick Owen, be it resolved that the following bylaw be read, numbered, passed, signed by the mayor and municipal clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 2377 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held Tuesday, December 5th, 2023.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 16, adjournment.
Moved by Counselor Casey Owens, seconded by Counselor Janice Ranger, be it resolved that this regular meeting of council to now adjourn at 6:01 PM.
All in favor? Opposed? Item carried unanimous. Thank you, one and all.